Hey guys, so today I want to talk to you about a very interesting question, at least in my opinion. Are smartwatches just too expensive? Now we all know smartwatches existed before the Pebble, but the Pebble was the one that essentially revolutionized the technology. It's the smartwatch that basically began this new fad or trend, but are they all too expensive? Now, from a technical perspective, the price makes sense, because as you miniaturize technology, it gets more expensive to make. For example, if I want to make a processor, it's a lot easier to make it for a desktop than it is for a laptop. It's a lot easier to make it for a laptop than it is for a phone, and it's a lot easier to make it for a phone than for a watch. Same goes with battery and pretty much every component in a smartwatch. But from a consumer perspective, is it worth paying all that extra money for essentially not having to take your phone out of your pocket? Well, there's a little more to smartwatches than that. For example, there's things like smart bands like the Galaxy Gear Fit or the Razer Nabu and other stuff like that, which does offer a bit more functionality like fitness tracking, heart rate monitors, so on. But smartwatches are still a very niche product as of now. Niche, either way. They're a very niche product as of now. So are they worth buying? Well, it's pretty much the same with any technology. If you buy a phone now from a year from now, there'll be a better version. The same goes for smartwatches. Although, if Samsung Galaxy Gear and Pebble Steel are any indication, um, smartwatches might move a bit faster than that. But they might stop once they have the perfect formula, because, of course, everybody owns their watches for a couple years. Nobody buys them every year. But so Samsung made the Galaxy Gear, which was the first attempt to make the smartwatch mainstream, as in sell them to average consumers. Before that, there was the Pebble, which was a geek product, and everyone knew it was a geek product, and nobody bought it. Well, I mean, people did buy it, but no average consumer bought it. But when the Galaxy Gear came out, people got into smartwatches, at least some of them, and a lot of people actually ended up buying the Pebble instead of the Samsung smartwatch, which is kind of funny. There's also things like the Sony smartwatch. Well, Sony actually has two versions, and of course the Pebble Steel came out later. There's of course fitness bands like the Fuel Band, the Gear Fit, and the upcoming Razer Nabu, which looks extremely interesting because it kind of combines the smartwatch and the fitness band, which the Galaxy Gear Fit did also. But the primary function of these is notifications. So you can look at your wrist and see a notification before having to check your phone for it. So you can determine if it's important and if it's worth interrupting what you're doing to check. Now this seems useful for something like a business meeting or something of that sort. So it's not really useful for, say, the average consumers, but it's useful for business, corporations, and so on. However, this does lead me to the question: why aren't they better looking? I mean, if you're gonna market it to business, I'm not saying it has to look like a Rolex with its gold plating and all that, but it's got to look nice. It's got to look like a watch. Then came in the Pebble Steel. Now the Pebble Steel was interesting. The original Pebble looked like a sports watch. It looked like a pretty geeky sports watch, but the Pebble Steel looked a lot more like a corporate standard watch. It didn't look like a nice corporate standard watch, but it looked like a corporate standard watch. It looked kind of like the Casio calculator watches, actually. But yeah, it was no Rolex, but you know, it would blend in, and that was good. Then Google unveiled what's called Android Wear, which is basically their answer to wearables. Along with this came the announcement of the LG G Watch and what everyone is interested in, the Moto 360. Now this is a nice looking watch. It's not quite Rolex standard or anything, but it looks really nice. It's got a lot to do with the circular display and everything, but it's just a nice looking watch. It just looks kind of cool, science fiction. But smartwatches still go anywhere from $150 to $300, $350 in that price range. And it's not known how much the LG, well, the LG G Watch I believe is retailing for $180 if I'm not mistaken, or maybe $200. But the Moto 360 has no price announced yet, no release date announced yet, which is a bit weird because it's supposed to be this summer, which is really, really soon. But anyways, it's releasing summer 2014. That's really all we know. Same with the G Watch release date, actually. And LG also makes something that's not based on Android Wear, a LifeBand Touch, which is um, its fitness monitor, fitness band, Nike Fuel Band kind of thing. But it seems to be betting more on the Android Wear, and I can see why. Now, it's not really known whether Android Wear will work with iOS, but I doubt it at this point. Speaking of iOS, there's also the crazily rumored, annoyingly rumored, irritatingly rumored iOS or Apple iWatch. Seriously, this thing has been rumored for years, and it's supposed to be coming out this year, but it was supposed to be coming out last year, and it was supposed to be coming out the year before that. It kind of feels like this is a thing that people started after Pebble came out because they wanted more manufacturers to create watches, and they wanted Apple to create watches, and now Samsung made a watch, and then Pebble got really popular because of Samsung making a watch and alerting consumers that smartwatches exist, and now a lot of people are starting to make smartwatches. Now Google doesn't have a smartwatch. I mean, it has software for a smartwatch, but it doesn't directly have a smartwatch. And Microsoft is supposedly working on their own smartwatch, and Apple is said to be releasing a smartwatch this year, but don't cross your fingers for that one. But it does lead to the question, are smartwatches worth buying at the moment? And I would say wait a little bit. Wait for the G Watch and wait for the Moto 360. I wouldn't cross your fingers for the iWatch like I said, but wait for those two, because they might just be worth the price. But if you want to watch right now, I'd recommend either the Pebble Steel or the Pebble, because they both look pretty nice. I mean, the Pebble isn't going to win any design awards, but it looks nice for a sports watch, and they're pretty durable, and they have a lot of watch faces and a pretty robust app store, including Flappy Bird if you're into that kind of thing. And that's the watch I'd recommend if you want a smartwatch at the moment. But it's really not something that is just incredible and just something to be beheld. But then again, smartwatches are a bit in the smartphone situation right now, which is to say, it seems like it's going to be a couple years before they reach mainstream adoption. So as of now, if you're a developer and you want to develop for a watch, or if you're a geek, or if you really, really want notifications on your wrist before having to check them on your phone, or if you want to control music without unlocking your phone, which is a pretty cool feature, I'll give it that. But so if you're one of those people, yeah, smartwatches are great, and maybe they're even worth the price that they are to you. But if you're not one of those people, smartwatches aren't really that killer new thing to get or anything. They're just kind of existing, and they're improving, so eventually somewhere down the line it might happen, but as of now there's not really anything. Anyways, that was what I think of the smartwatch pricing situation, and I hope you guys enjoyed it, and I'll see you in the next one.